Hey guys, Jay here, and this is my F1 Fantasy season recap. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so let's kick off things with my results for Abu Dhabi. For Team 1, I had McLaren, Mercedes, Verstappen as ×2, Piastri, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Sainz, scoring 276 points, bringing in 2.2 million, not that that matters now. 2 transfers, Norris and Colapinto to Verstappen and Hulkenberg, giving me 41 points. Of course, the change of the ×2 driver from Norris to Verstappen, so that gave me 17 points. And happy to say I got a little climb in rank, just over 2,000 places. For Team 2, I had McLaren, Red Bull, Norris, Piastri, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Behrman, sticking with the triple McLaren build, 262 points. 2 transfers, Sainz and Gasly to Hulkenberg and Behrman, bringing in 24 points. And a rank climb of 500 places, so in the top 5k, very happy with that. And then for Team 3, McLaren, Mercedes, Verstappen ×2, Piastri, Alonso, Behrman, Sainz, 248 points. This time 3 transfers, one of them being an extra transfer, so obviously I took a -10, but it was Norris, Gasly, Red Bull to Verstappen, Behrman, Mercedes. Total points -7 due to the -10 for the extra transfer. Again, 17 points, changing my ×2 from Norris to Verstappen, but I did get a little climb in rank, 600 places. And so my teams finished in the top 15k. My best team was Team 2 in the top 5k. Unfortunately, Team 1 was my worst team in the top just underneath 13,000. So work to do next season, but very happy with Team 2. But yeah, hopefully next season, Team 1 will be the top team. And so like I say, my best result in F1 Fantasy, I only completed last season and this season, so very happy to go from a poor performance last year to a good performance this year. Not as high as I would have liked, but I can't complain. It's my best result in F1 Fantasy. Next up, huge congratulations to Gavin de Souza, 44th gear, for winning the DelermainSports Mini League. You are now the new Mini League champion, dethroning Verstappen from last season. Also, special note to 44th gear, finishing 2nd in the Global League. So, just for clarity and to keep the system going, let's look at the Global 500. In terms of chips, the main chip played in Abu Dhabi was the autopilot chip, 14.4% of teams using the autopilot chip, 5% of teams using Final Fix and Wildcard. Surprisingly, 5% of teams didn't use autopilot, 20% of teams didn't use Final Fix, and 6% of teams didn't use wildcard throughout the season. In terms of the drivers, Max Verstappen was top pick, 17.4% of teams bringing Verstappen in or back to their team. So 85% of teams had Verstappen, with 72.4% of teams having him as their ×2. Norris was only 37.2% selected, with 22% having him as ×2. 26.8% of teams dropped Piastri, but the other big surprises was Oliver Behrman, 23.8% of teams bringing Oliver Behrman in or back to their team, with 41.6% of teams dropping Carlos Sainz. And in terms of the constructors, the big two were McLaren and Mercedes, with Red Bull being the differential at 11.2%. So let's look at the F1 Fantasy results and stats for the season. First of all, the global rankings, the top 3 were most points possible, 44th gear and Vassarectomy. So congratulations to those 3 teams. They've obviously won some prizes from F1. The dream team for 2025. So this is the top 5 highest points scoring drivers plus top 2 highest points scoring constructors, calculated across a 100 million budget, with their initial pricing at the start of the season. And that team consisted of Russell as ×2, Behrman, Ocon, Hadjar, Bortoletto, McLaren and Mercedes. The extra 3 times DRS boost chip was the most played this season, played 700,000 times. And the top stats winners were McLaren and Hulkenberg for value for money, HAAS and Oliver Behrman for most overtakes, McLaren and Verstappen for most points in a single race, and HAAS and Hulkenberg for most positions gained. So 2 awards for McLaren, 2 awards for HAAS, 2 awards for Hulkenberg, 1 for Behrman and 1 for Verstappen. Now let's look at my personal season recap. So the most ranks jumped across a single race was 1.2 million, almost 1.3 million jump in rank for Team 3 after one race. That would have been at the start of the season. Most points in a single race, 393 points for Team 1. That was Miami, where I used my limitless chip. Team 2, as you know, my best team, top 1%, finishing in top 5k. They scored 84% more times compared to the average score. And they finished in the top 17% of the F1 Fantasy Tools Patreon League. My best performing driver was Oscar Piastri for Team 1. He brought in 635 points. And my best performing constructor was McLaren for Team 3, 1,744 points. And Limitless was my biggest chip play for Team 1. This was Miami, 393 points. So I'm doing this in real time. I thought we'd just have a little brief look at my season summary for all 3 teams. So this is Team 1, and we've got the new progression graph here. So we can see all the way back down in Australia, we were just under the 500,000 mark, more or less. So not the worst, but could have been better. And then sadly, we did drop in China. Again, I didn't have McLaren. And then I used wildcard, started to climb, dropped again. But then I did start to get a climb in Bahrain, all the way up to Miami after using Limitless, then a little spike down to Monaco, back up with no negative in Spa, slight drop, then back up again, final fix in Baku, slight drop, autopilot in Qatar, and then unfortunately a little drop here at the end with Brazil and Vegas, but thankfully ×3 get me again. So, you know, yes, I didn't finish as high as I would have liked. I would have liked to have finished in the top 10 at least, 10k, ideally top 5. But when you look at the graph, it's actually not so bad, considering even though like a lot of us had DNFs in Australia, you know, the only big dip, was really here after Miami. So yeah, I'm not too fussed. So let's look at Team 2, my best team. And you see here, I actually started lower than Team 1. I started all the way down. It was about 125,000 places lower than Team 1 at the start. Again, a drop in China, then no negative helped me out here. Little drop here, but then we had a big climb here from Monaco using Limitless up to Spa. Little dip again, and then final fix ×3. Helping me up the ranks to Brazil, where I used autopilot. Then unfortunately things didn't go well in Vegas due to the disqualification of McLaren, and then a little arrow at the end of the season. And then for Team 3, a little bit more jagged. They started well though. They started 281,000 after Australia. Let's just have a quick look. Team 3 Australia. So they got 123 points. I did get hit. I got hit by Alonso, Hadjar, and Doohan, and Alpine, but yet they did better. Team 1 only got 86 points and only got hit by Doohan and Hadjar. Team 2 only got 73 points, hit by Doohan, Hadjar, and Bortolezo. So although they had Ferrari and Mercedes, Team 1 had McLaren and Williams. McLaren and Alpine, so was it the drivers? Norris, Alonso, Ocon, Hadjar, Doohan. I had Bortoleto in Team 2. I had Albon in Team 1, but he got 17 points. So yeah, a bit surprised about that actually. But yeah, Team 3 started the best out of my 3 teams, and then a little bit up and down. Finally started to get some climb here in Austria, Britain, Spa, and then Limitless in Hungary. Pretty static for a while, and then a little jump up to Brazil, and then a little dip down, back up again, ×3 in Qatar. I do want to just point out 3 things actually. So I do remember China, Team 1, 2 extra transfers. I dropped McLaren, I went different. That was a huge mistake, so I really dropped points there, despite everyone else scoring points. And you know, Ferrari's disqualification hit me even more. That being said, Limitless was my best play, 393 points for Team 1 in Miami, where I had Piastri, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Antonelli, McLaren, Mercedes. So happy about that. And the other thing that stood out for me is Brazil with Verstappen in team. Was he in Team 2? yeah, so Team 2 and Team 3. Team 3 got the most points that weekend, 341 points, had Verstappen, Antonelli, Sainz, Behrman, Bortolo, McLaren, Mercedes, using the autopilot chip. Sorry, not times 3, the autopilot chip there. Did I use autopilot? Yeah, it was autopilot for Team 2 as well. That's right, because I used times 3 in Qatar for Team 1 and Team 3, but I didn't get any gains because I went with Norris. So, yeah. But I would say, despite how, even though Limitless was my best score in terms of, like 393 points for Team 1, I would say my best play was definitely autopiloting Verstappen for Team 2 and 3 in Brazil. 126 points, which, if I remember correctly, he only got 77 points in his Brazil weekend last year when he came from P17 to first in the Grand Prix. So, 126 because it's times 2. So, sorry, 63 points. So, technically less points than last season, but because it was my times 2, 126 points. So, happy days. So, where does that leave me going into 2026? Well, I've got some objectives here. A lot of them are pretty basic, but obviously the first objective is to read up on the latest rules and any game changes. When that gets released, I'll hopefully do a video like I did this season with any game changes. The second objective is to try and restrain from using extra transfers and using chips early in the season. Again, if I go back quickly to my results, you can see here I used wildcard and no negative for Team 1 and Team 2 in Japan, Limitless Miami for Team 1, then wildcard for Imola Team 2, then Limitless and no negative for Team 2 and Team 3 in Monaco. And so we're not even halfway through the season yet, and I'm already using my chips up. And then I went kind of quiet until Azerbaijan, where I used a final fix for Team 1, Team 2, and wildcard for Team 3. And then got some chips in Qatar, chips in Brazil, and then finally Qatar. But yeah, I think chips wise, I should have saved on a few of them until later in the season. And again, with the extra transfers, I've dropped 30 points for each team using extra transfers this season. Objective 3 is don't be too quick to remove assets just because of potential budget gains in certain circumstances. So obviously, at the start of the season, yes, we need to build our budget to try and get to that 4A build. But there was plenty of times this season when, I might have dropped someone because I wanted to get extra budget, and then the driver I bought in would do terrible or DNF, and the driver that I sold would do good. So I think, as important as budget is, we've seen this season that it's not the be-all and end-all. Some teams have done really well on lower budgets. My fourth objective is to try and break Team 1 into the top 1 to 5k and any team into the top 1k. Now, I'm being a bit optimistic here, considering I didn't finish in the top 10k for Team 1. So I could argue, well, a top 10k finish for Team 1 is it's still an improvement. But I would like to try and get up to the top now. So I'm in the top 1% of players. If you finish around 25,000 upwards, you're in the top 1% of players. But now I'm trying to really break into that top 0.1%. So that's the goal for any team, ideally Team 1. And then finally to basically continue having fun and engage with the F1 Fantasy community. Now, in case you missed it, so as you know, Lando Norris is the 2025 Formula 1 World Champion, making him the 35th World Champion in Formula 1 history. And other drivers were quick to congratulate Lando, including George Russell, 7-time World Champion Lewis Hamilton, former teammate and brother Carlos Sainz, and of course good friend and rival Max Verstappen. There was a lot of support and love for Oscar Piastri, and rightly so. He deserves it. He deserves all the credits. He was unlucky this year, and hopefully he'll bounce back stronger next season. Alexander Albon secured the highest position since 2016 for a Williams driver, finishing in P8. And Yuki Tsunoda swapped helmets with his former teammate and good friend Pierre Gasly after Abu Dhabi. Yuki Tsunoda, as you know, now staying at Red Bull, but as a reserve driver. And we don't know if we'll be seeing Yuki again in an F1 seat. Kimi Antonelli, bless him, he apologised to Max Verstappen after Abu Dhabi due to for costing points in Qatar, and Max Verstappen, the professional he is, just laughed it off, told him not to worry, and that it was all good. Talking of Antonelli, he was also the last person to push the DRS button, with Jensen Button being the first. The DRS era now coming to a close. Lando Norris has confirmed that he will be using the number 1 on his car next season. However, he's dedicating it mainly to his team. He said, all of us as a team that gets to have a role in McLaren or my car will get to wear that with pride. It's all my mechanics, my engineers, everyone that's part of McLaren gets to have that acknowledgement too. So it's not for me, it's for them as well. It's their pride, knowing that they put a lot of work and effort into everything, that they can also go, we're number 1. It's not as cool when you say we are number 4, so they will be even happier than I am. So in other motorsport news, the World Endurance Championship will have 14 manufacturers next season across the hypercar and LMGT3 category, with Genesis joining the ranks. In the hypercar category, it will be Alpine, Aston Martin, BMW, Cadillac, Genesis, Peugeot and Toyota, aiming to dethrone Ferrari, who were this year's champions. And then in the LMGT3 category, the Manthey Porsche team will be back, and they'll be fighting alongside rivals from Aston Martin, BMW, Corvette, Ferrari, Ford, Lexus, McLaren and Mercedes-AMG. On that note, here are a couple of big season starts for next year. We kick things off in February with the Intercontinental GT Challenge. It's the 12 hours of Bathurst. Then in March, we have round 1 of Formula 1, 2 and 3 in Australia with the new regulations for Formula 1. Then the NLS Racing Series starts on the 14th of March. The NLS series is a huge multi-category endurance race that they have every few weeks, usually around 4 hours for most of the races. F1 Academy then comes into play also in March, starting in China, I believe. World Endurance Championship will kick off in Qatar with the 8 hours of Qatar, with Genesis joining the grid, as we said. Then the GT World Challenge Europe will start in April at the Paul Ricard circuit in France. And then finally, the big 3 24-hour races. The Nürburgring 24 hours is in May, 14th to 17th of May. Max Verstappen, will he be competing next year? We don't know yet, but there's no F1 that weekend, so fingers crossed. We've then got the 24 hours of Le Mans in June, and the 24 hours of Spa, which is one of the rounds for the GT World Challenge Europe. That is also in late June. Finally, guys, in grid rivals, my team for Abu Dhabi, I had Behrman, Piastri, Leclerc, Russell, Colapinto, 911 points, and I finished just under the top 10,000. That said, I want to give a quick shout out to my mini league rival, McDorris. I don't know if I'll be playing Grid Rivals next year. At the moment, the answer is no, I won't be playing Grid Rivals because I want to focus purely on F1 Fantasy. But thank you, McDorris, if you see this video. Appreciate the rivalry. It's been a lot of fun, and I wish you all the best. And that is it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for following me this season. I have got some video ideas that I'm going to try and do over the winter break, but they will be hit and miss just due to family plans and stuff like that. That being said, obviously we will be back next season for 2026. And if I don't talk to you before then, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. All the best.